Hello and welcome. Chris from Missouri here, bringing you another video about vintage baseball cards. In this video, I'm going to show you a couple cards. I'm going to introduce another channel to you. Then I'm going to tell you a quick story. But for those of you that's been following me for the last couple of years, do you notice anything different? Let me help you out here. If you notice, Patrick Mahomes' jersey is number 15 and not 51. If you notice, Honus Wagner is turned the correct way. And if you notice, the logo is not backwards and the cards are not backwards. I finally figured it out. I've been razzed for 2 years from guys like Don Field of Dreams, Scott Reindeer Studio, Theo Clemente Collector, Mike Baseball Collector, and John 3D 80s Kid. Now, to them, you got to find something else to make fun of. I'm sure I give you plenty of things to make fun of, but I figured this part out. But that doesn't mean I'm always going to be doing videos like this, because I like showing cards in front of me, and I really haven't figured that part out yet. But I finally did it. So to you guys that's been making fun of me, I want to give you some kind of sign of some sort, but I'm going to be the better man and just kind of keep this higher class. Now, before I get started showing cards and telling you a story, you got to help me out and turn over to Vintage Nobody. This young guy has only made 2 videos, but they're incredible. I don't know if he's really a YouTuber or Ken Burns in the making, because his 2 videos so far are just high class, high dollar stuff. And he's great. So do me a favor. It's Vintage Nobody. Get over there and watch his videos. If you're a baseball historian, like I try to think that I am, that I want to be, watch his video. You'll be hooked. Subscribe to it. His channel is going to rise so fast. So yeah, get over there, like it, subscribe, and that way you know you're on the beginning of something special. So with my first video turned around here, I just really want to tell you a story about, I want to show you a couple cards, and then I'm going to tell you a story. First, let me show you this card right here. I got this in the mail today. This is 1976 Willie Stargell. Now, I don't know what that looks like to you there, but I love this. I love the 1976 cards, and I got this for my player run of Willie Stargell. I'm sure that's going to be next season on Showcase Showdown, so I'm trying to prepare for that. Now, the next card I'm going to tell you about, first, I'm going to just tell you the story. And it goes something like this. I'm telling you the story of a friend of mine and a certain thing that we did. But in this story, it's also, I'm going to talk a little bit about the 1990 World Series. Now, somebody can do a video, 3-day series, a 4-day series on the 1990 World Series. An incredible World Series between the Cincinnati Reds and the Oakland A's. And, this isn't that, but this is kind of mixing that together. See, in 1989, I graduated from college, and I took a job in Glasgow, Missouri. I left there various times, coached for about 20 years, came back, and that's where I live now. I met my wife here years ago, but this is our hometown now. And it just so happens to be the place that John Donaldson, who's on the the Hall of Fame ballot, that's his hometown as well. But I'm here to tell you about a story about a guy named Vaughn Cooper. Now, Vaughn Cooper's no longer with us. He was a longtime friend of mine, and he became a friend of mine in 1989 when I was a young kid, just graduated college, and moved to Glasgow. See, I hadn't made a dime yet, and I lived in senior housing. And, they charged you by how much money you made for your rent. So if you made a lot of money, you had to pay a certain amount of rent. But I made so little of money, they charged me $100 a month for rent. And and I still wrote a bad check that I had to go pick up and pay for at the end of the month to cover my rent check. But anyway, Vaughn became a friend of mine. Now listen, please don't judge me on this, but I have been doing little betting type stuff, wagering, gambling, if you may, uh, ever since I was a young kid on sports stuff. Now, it's $1, $2 stuff. For instance, we would pick the winners of the NFL schedule when I was in middle school, junior high. Our elementary principal would get a pool together outside of school. We would pick the winners, who we thought was going to win the NFL. We'd put $1 in, turn it into him, and if you won more games than anybody else, you got the pot. And you might have won $10, $20 total, but you're only going to lose $1. And my dad's a Baptist minister, and he did that with me. And my mom was totally even against something little like that. But I've been like that all my life, and it's been kind of fun, and it's really kept me and my father-in-law pretty close because we bet on games together and have been doing so for 30 years. But Vaughn Cooper took me in and made me a friend. Uh, I don't know how Vaughn was 40 years old maybe, and I was 22. He might have been a little bit older than that, but not much. And his daughter played on my junior high basketball team. So that's where this gets started. So how in the world does the 1990 World Series and a dad of one of my basketball players come together? Well, it comes together like this, and I'm just doing this because I got a card in the mail, and it made me think of Vaughn Cooper. So bear with me. So 1989, I came to town. 1990 was my second year, of course, and my junior high girls basketball team was playing in their conference tournament, and Vaughn Cooper had a daughter on my team, and I had three or four other buddies that daughters were on my team as well. And I could tell a story about each of them as well, and I have before. But on this particular time, the Cincinnati Reds was still my favorite National League team, and they made the World Series to play against the Oakland A's. And the Oakland A's at that time, you could do a whole story about the Oakland A's. They had a killer team back then. They had Jose Canseco, who was going to be a surefire Hall of Famer in 1989, Mark McGwire, Dave Henderson, Ricky Henderson, who became a Hall of Famer. They had Harold Baines on that team, who became a Hall of Famer. They had Dennis Eckersley at that time, who was the greatest reliever of all time at that time, became a Hall of Famer. They had a starting pitcher. They had this guy named Dave Stewart, who was incredible. And on the same team, they had Bob Welch, who ended up winning the Cy Young. So it was a very formidable baseball team. And they were playing against the Cincinnati Reds. And the Cincinnati Reds, that's a whole bunch of another story in itself. They were good, but they were scrappy. They didn't have near the power of the Bash brothers, near the speed of Ricky Henderson. Their relievers was a big part of their team. They were no Dennis Eckersley, but they had the Nasty Boys. And if you remember them, it was, I think, Norm Charlton, Rob Dibble, and Randy Myers. And, they just a great team and a great season. They had a pitcher that had a great season too, and that's Jose Rio. And they had a player, and you gotta Google this series. It's incredible. Billy Hatcher probably should have been the MVP for the Reds because he just had an incredible Babe Ruth-like World Series. But the story is not about that great World Series. The story is about Vaughn Cooper challenging me to a bet. Now, Vaughn was this boisterous guy, and he was the center of attention. He was fun, and he tried to embarrass you when he could in front of a lot of people, but in a great way. And, if he was making fun of you and that kind of stuff, he loved you. Anyway, I was in Lions Club. A bunch of those guys got me in Lions Club, and Vaughn tried to bet me on the World Series. He said, and I was a loud, kind of cocky, boisterous guy myself. But the difference between me and Vaughn is I was a poor, poor teacher living in senior housing, and I couldn't bet the same way that Vaughn bet. Now, Vaughn challenged me. He said, if you like the Reds and you think they're going to win so bad, why don't you take them and I'll take the A's and we'll take them straight up. And if the A's win, let's say $200 a game and $20 a run. For instance, if the A's win all 4 games, that's $800, $200 a game that I would owe him. And $20 a run, if they scored 10 total runs for the series, that's $200 extra. So I would owe him about $1,000. I didn't have that kind of money to risk or that kind of stuff. But Vaughn kept needling me. And the first game came about, and I'll be darned, we didn't bet. I refused to bet. I didn't have that money. First game came out, and the Reds won 7-0. Now, you'll have to Google some of these games because game 2, oh my gosh, it's a classic of stories. Tons of stories in there. But the Reds won game 1 7-0. And I saw Vaughn Cooper. The tournament hadn't started just yet. But I saw Vaughn, and Vaughn said, hey, I will still bet you. I'll take the A's, you take the Reds, and I'll give you that first game, and I'll give you those 7 runs, so you're up $340 if you want to take the bet. And he started needling me like a junior high kid, like, oh, are you chicken back, and just different things like that, and in a good way. And he just kept needling me, and I said, okay, I'll take it. And then so I remember how nervous I was. What if I lose? I got to pay right away. I don't have any money. I can barely pay rent. If I was going to give you some advice, don't buy cards if you don't have the money, and don't bet if you don't have the money. But anyway, game 2 was, we're in the midst of starting this tournament. Game 2, the Reds won again. They won 5-4. Now I'm up 2 games, and I'm up 8 runs total on him. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself, but not enough to brag about it and be confident about it because, there's a lot of baseball still left in this series. Well, game 3, the tournament started. Game 3 was there, and I remember before one of the junior high basketball games the girls played, Vaughn was still needling me, and I can just remember his loud laugh around my friends and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think Vaughn cared if he won or lost. He just liked needling me and getting under my skin. Well, game 3 of the World Series was also that night. And after the girls had played, we were listening to the radio up in the stands because the boys' games were going on. Reds took a lead, and they won game 3 8-3. So now I'm up, 20-7 runs, 20 total runs to 7 runs. So I'm up that many dollars, and I'm up $600. So I'm actually feeling pretty confident. Well, girls play the championship I forget, it must have been a Saturday night, so I would assume this game was probably fourth game was on a Saturday night. I think either that or that's just when he paid me. But anyway, the girls played, or the Cincinnati had won the game 2-1, meaning that he owed me, let's see, $1,080 total dollars. So the girls played and they won the game. And I saw Vaughn sitting across from the bench, and he was smiling still, but he owed me over $1,000. Now, of course, I was just happy as could be. And anyway, the girls ended up winning. I go down to the locker room, celebrate with the girls, talk to them a little bit. And as I'm coming up from the locker room, I knew I was going to be greeted by some parents and stuff, slap me on the back and congratulate me. At least I hope I was. And sure enough, I was with some of my friends. Now, Vaughn wasn't the only father of a daughter playing on that team. Some of my best friends' daughters played on that first junior high team of mine. And I'm shaking some hands. They were congratulating me before the boys' game. And Vaughn grabbed me by the elbow and he pulled me into the concession stand. He goes, "Hey, I want to get you paid." I said, "No, no, no. Let's not do it here. This is going to look so bad. Let's not do it here." And we're in the concession stand. So Vaughn said, "Nope, I'm going to pay you right now." So he pulled my hand out and he started putting $100 bills in my palm. And what should have taken about 30 seconds to count that out, because I had to grab it, put it in my pocket, boom. Vaughn took his time, and people gathered around. And what it looked to me, if I was them, it would look like he was paying me so his daughter could play, like for playing time and stuff, and which is totally not the case because she was a real good player. But anyway, he counted out $1,080 in front of everybody, and he was just trying to get me embarrassed. He'd already won, or I'd already won the money, but what he won is what he intended to do, and that was to embarrass me in front of a lot of people in a fun type of way. And Vaughn passed away not too long ago, and we talk about him a lot, on various situations. And that story comes up all the time, how when I was 23 years old and first starting my coaching career, I had a parent pay me $1,000 at a concession stand in front of many, many people. And it brings a laugh. It brings a smile to my face every time I think about it. And the card that I want to show you is a guy. So I'm collecting rookie cards, and not just post-war Hall of Famers, but I do collect that. I'm collecting rookie cards of great players who rookie cards were in or were before 1980. Now, this is not a rookie card. I guess it's a Topps rookie, but it's a card I really always wanted, and I've had it, and I sent it off to get graded, and I got it back, and it's of none other than the great Eric Davis, surefire Hall of Famer if he'd have stayed healthy. But when I look at this card, I think of my friend Vaughn Cooper. Now, guys, remember, get over to Vintage Nobody. Subscribe to that channel. Pay attention to a show that I'm going to do every Thursday. It's called Just a Little Bit Outside. And I'm going to bring that to you every Thursday, and I'm going to try to add a couple other ones during the week. I'm having a great time. Please, if you're totally against gambling, forgive me a little bit and don't drop my channel. Guys, remember, it's just a hobby. Collect what you like.